Ever stare into a seemingly endless abyss and wonder not just what horrors might dwell within, but, how you'd even begin to navigate such a place?
It's a thought that really resonates.
Mm.
Just the other week, actually, our D&D group found themselves in a situation that felt a lot like that right from the very start of the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of the usual, tavern or quest giver, they woke up in the ruins of their ancestral home. The village was just utterly wiped out by some unknown cataclysm.
Oh.
The silence was just, well, deafening. Only the wind through shattered buildings. The players were immediately dealing with this profound loss and a real burning need to figure out what happened.
Hmm.
It wasn't a simple dragon attack or, a goblin raid. It felt deeper, more personal,
Mm.
and way more unsettling.
I can imagine.
Their reactions weren't about jumping into combat. It was about piecing together fragments of a past they'd lost in a world that had just fundamentally changed overnight.
Mhm.
It definitely cast a long shadow over everything that followed.
That sense of a world steeped in shadow, yeah, where hope feels fragile and morality is messy. That's really the core of what we're exploring today, the appeal of grimdark RPG campaigns.
Right.
These aren't your standard heroic fantasy tales with, clear good guys and bad guys. Grimdark settings really dive into the murkier parts of the genre, places where characters often face impossible choices with really dire consequences.
Exactly. And for players who appreciate that more nuanced, more emotionally challenging kind of role-playing, Grimdark offers something really compelling.
And to really pull players into that kind of bleak reality, the initial hook, the very first thing they encounter, it carries so much weight.
Oh, absolutely. A strong, dark opening immediately tells everyone, okay, this is a different kind of game. It
Hmm.
signals the stakes are high, the world doesn't pull his punches, and your choices, they're going to have lasting, often brutal repercussions.
So, in this deep dive, we're going to look at some really potent opening hooks for grimdark RPGs. We'll examine how these initial scenarios can effectively grab your players and establish that gritty, morally ambiguous vibe right from the get-go.
Yeah, we're interested in how these starting points can really pave the way for deep role-playing,
Oh,
for
good.
that impactful emotional storytelling within these, well, harsher fantasy worlds.
What's particularly effective about these kinds of starts, I think, is how they often bypass the typical, maybe slower introductory phases.
They plunge players straight into it,
Yeah.
directly into challenging circumstances.
Mm.
It forces them to immediately confront difficult realities and make significant decisions right away.
It's like an instant immersion into the tone, the themes of the whole campaign.
Exactly. It lets them know this isn't just about fighting monsters.
Hmm.
It's an invitation to explore external threats, sure, but also those internal struggles, the moral compromises that really define characters in a grimdark setting.
Okay, so let's start with a hook we've called the Ashes of Home. Picture this. Your player characters, they return to the place they knew as home, their familiar village, only to find it just reduced to utter ruin.
Oof, yeah. Imagine the scene, smoldering wreckage, maybe an eerie silence broken only by, I don't know, the faint whimpers of a few survivals, the air thick with ash and despair.
The immediate impact of that scenario is just visceral, isn't it?
Absolutely. It hits that primal sense of loss, of horror.
Mhm.
This isn't just like losing some buildings. It's the destruction of identity, of history, everything the characters held dear.
Right.
That kind of devastation creates a powerful emotional connection and this really urgent need to understand what happened. Was it sudden? Was it slow? It fuels this immediate drive. Do we reclaim what's lost, protect who's left, or seek vengeance?
And the psychological scars.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
witnessing that profound destruction, that shapes motivations, actions for the whole campaign potentially.
definitely. The mystery around why it happened becomes this central driving force. It propels the story forward and it colors every interaction with this sense of underlying trauma.
The ensuing journey then becomes more than just simple revenge, right?
Exactly. It evolves. It becomes a quest to unravel a really personal mystery, one that's already caused immense pain and might threaten everything else they value. It turns the characters into investigators, basically.
Piecing together clues in a world that's suddenly alien, hostile.
Losing that anchor, that familiar place, forces a really rapid reevaluation.
Mhm.
Who are we now? What actually matters? It can lead to some much more compelling, more nuanced motivations down the line.
And the nature of the cataclysm itself, that could be so varied. It allows you to really tailor the specific flavor of grimdark you're going for.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be overwhelming force, like you said, a monstrous horde, or something way more insidious, like a creeping plague that just dismantled the community bit by bit.
Or human cruelty, a brutal purge in a civil war. Or something totally unnatural, a malevolent supernatural storm that leaves the land barren, cursed.
Or maybe the awakening of some ancient evil tied to the land itself. Each of those causes carries its own distinct thematic weight. A plague brings themes of desperation, the fragility of life.
Betrayal from within. That sows distrust, paranoia.
Right. And even something like a failed magical experiment that could explore the grim consequences of ambition, the unforeseen costs of power.
Think about the emotional impact on the players themselves, role-playing characters facing that loss. Memories of safety, community, they're all tainted now.
Yeah, familiar landmarks, once comforting, are now just stark reminders of tragedy. It's heavy stuff.
This is where NPC survivors can become incredibly important, narratively speaking.
For sure. They're tangible links to the past, living embodiments of what's been lost. They can also be vital sources of fragmented info, maybe giving glimpses into what happened or unknowingly holding crucial clues.
These interactions can really highlight that theme of resilience, too, trying to endure even when everything seems lost. That's a common grimdark thread.
And the bonds you forge with those survivors, they create compelling, deeply personal story threads. It might spark fierce revenge or a commitment to rebuild something, anything.
Or even offer a difficult path towards some kind of redemption in a world that just feels utterly broken.
Okay, so moving on. Our second hook takes a different angle, more internal. Cursed from the start.
Right. In this one, each member of the party wakes up one day and they find themselves marked. An ominous, maybe glowing brand.
These marks often pulse with some strange energy, creating this immediate, undeniable connection between people who might never have even met otherwise.
The power here is that immediate shared mystery. It doesn't matter what their backgrounds are, their social status, how they feel about each other initially.
Yep, they're bound together now by this weird, unsettling thing, this forced closeness, this shared problem. It creates an instant, if maybe uneasy, alliance.
And that internal threat, the curse itself, can often hit harder psychologically, at least at first, than any external enemy.
Definitely. The unknown origins, the ultimate purpose of the curse. It generates immediate urgency and unease. Players will be driven to figure out where these marks came from, what they mean.
Is it doom, destiny, some hidden power with a terrible cost?
Exactly. And that lack of control over their own bodies, their own fates, that's a powerful driver for paranoia and fear.
And these aren't just cosmetic marks, are they? The source mentioned they actively influence the characters' lives, often in dangerous ways.
Yeah, the idea that enemies might be drawn to the curse's power, that really raises the stakes. It suggests this isn't just a personal burden. It affects the world around them, forces unwanted attention onto them.
What's cool about this hook is the potential for all sorts of different brands, each with unique effects.
Right. You could have like the flames of memory that bring traumatic visions, or the icy grasp of the void that slowly drains vitality.
Or the Blood Moon's embrace, granting some dangerous allure. Each brand presents unique challenges, unique opportunities for role-playing, and for game mechanics, too.
Looking at those examples, the potential origins are fascinating as well. Ancient pacts, forgotten curses, forbidden rituals gone wrong, even magical experiments with unintended consequences.
And the risks involved in trying to remove the curse. That adds another layer of tension, doesn't it? Lost memories, permanent impairment, even death, makes seeking a cure a really perilous gamble.
This hook really leans into themes of body horror, that unsettling loss of autonomy. You're constantly reminded of this foreign thing on you, something you can't control, don't understand.
It erodes your sense of self, forces you to confront being fundamentally changed, maybe against your will.
But that shared adversity, that internal threat, it can forge unexpected bonds. Characters have to rely on each other to understand, maybe overcome, their shared problem.
It creates a world where danger isn't just external. The characters themselves become potential threats to themselves through the curse, and maybe to others who fear or want what they have.
Yeah, it demands constant vigilance, not just against outside enemies, but against the unpredictable, often terrifying effects of the curse they all share.
Okay, shifting gears again. Hook number 3, the massacre witnesses.
This one's rough. The party stumbles onto a scene of just immense, brutal carnage. Unspeakable violence has clearly happened here.
But before they can even really process the horror, boom, they find themselves implicated. accused of being the ones who did it.
Yeah, this throws the character straight into a desperate fight for survival and on multiple fronts. They've got to deal with whoever actually did it and navigate a world that's already decided they're guilty.
A world that wants them captured, maybe even executed.
The theme here is just immediate, intense pressure. Operating under this cloud of suspicion, hostility, the main goal shifts from questing to just, proving innocence, evading capture. Every interaction is risky.
The source gave some compelling scenarios for how this framing could happen, maybe deliberately set up by a political rival.
Or maybe the massacre was part of some dark ritual they interrupted, and the survivors, if any, just mistakenly ID'd them.
And the potential twists you can weave in are perfect for Grimdark. Imagine the victims starting to rise as undead.
Oh yeah, that adds supernatural horror and fuels the accusations against the party. Or what if the real killers are respected figures in the community? That forces the players to question everything, navigate this web of lies.
Even just a single terrified survivor who knows the truth but is too scared to talk. That creates a huge moral dilemma.
And the idea of conflicting memories within the party about the massacre, that's particularly unsettling. Sows distrust right among the characters.
Or a vengeful ghost, convinced the party is guilty, hunting them relentlessly, an enemy you maybe can't even fight directly.
The initial pacing for a campaign starting like this, it's likely going to be incredibly fast, intense, almost a constant chase scene.
Right. There'll be moments to strategize, try to gather evidence, but that threat of being caught for something you didn't do, it creates this persistent urgency, dread.
In this kind of campaign, compelling NPCs are absolutely crucial. On both sides. Allies might pop up, people who see inconsistencies or have their own reasons to distrust the authorities. They offer help, a glimmer of hope.
And conversely, relentless enemies, totally convinced of the party's guilt, actively hunting them, that creates high-stakes encounters, forces tough choices about how far you'll go to survive and prove you're innocent.
Okay, our fourth Grimdark opening, The Broken Oath. This one shifts focus onto shared history, past mistakes.
The party members were all part of some group that's now disbanded or disgraced. Maybe a knightly order that fell from grace, a notorious mercenary band with blood on its hands, or even a sinister cult that got exposed.
Right. Their shared history is marked by betrayal or failure or past crimes that still haunt them, still shape their present.
This is really fertile ground for exploring themes like redemption or the weight of guilt, the inescapable consequences of the past.
Yeah, the characters can't just outrun their history anymore. It's part of who they are, and it's going to influence their choices, their interactions. That shared past is a tangible burden.
And the potential for conflict within the party seems really high here.
Oh, definitely. Each character probably copes differently with the group's history, their own role in its downfall. Different ideas about atonement or revenge, or whether redemption is even possible, that can lead to great interpersonal drama, difficult moral choices.
The source listed some great examples of these shattered groups, like the Silver Hand, once revered protectors, now shamed for brutal methods.
Or the Crimson Pledge, mercenaries infamous for a massacre, now operating in the shadows. And cults like the Void Cult, known for dark rituals, now hunted.
Each one has such a distinct flavor of past crime and current status.
And what's interesting is the variety of story paths that can come from this broken oath. Some might desperately need to restore their honor, clear their group's name, even if it seems impossible.
Others might be consumed by revenge against those they blame for the group's fall.
Or maybe some are just trying to escape their past, constantly looking over their shoulders, terrified of their actions catching up.
Integrating really compelling redemption arcs, or maybe exploring the destructive side of vengeance. That becomes a powerful emotional engine for the campaign.
Yeah, the personal quests of the characters, all tied up in this shared history, they become central to the main story. Lots of opportunity for character growth, tough moral decisions.
These personal stakes mean every choice, every encounter carries real emotional weight.
Exactly. Every decision is viewed through the lens of their past actions, their attempts to either atone or maybe even embrace the darker parts of their legacy. And NPCs who remember their past deeds, they can be both allies and really dangerous enemies.
Okay, finally, we get to the fifth hook, and maybe the most cosmically unsettling. The black sun rising.
Yes. Imagine a world where one morning the sun just doesn't rise. Everything is plunged into perpetual darkness.
The immediate result and the long-term consequences. It's this slow, terrifying descent into chaos, madness, the unknown.
This hook really leans into surreal cosmic horror, taps into that primal fear of the dark, our fundamental reliance on the sun. Its absence isn't just physical, it's a profound disruption of the natural order.
A psychological assault on the world, its people, leading to panic, societal breakdown.
Yeah, and navigating that terrifying new reality while just trying to hold on to your sanity, that becomes the central, harrowing challenge for the players.
The dual nature of that challenge is really compelling for Grimdark. You've got the immediate practical problems of survival in constant darkness, no light, crops failing, vulnerability to gloom-loving creatures.
hmm And at the same time, you're battling the psychological toll on yourself and on the increasingly desperate, irrational people around you.
The source listed some really disturbing potential events for this, bizarre shadow beasts appearing from the dark.
Or dreams bleeding into reality, blurring those lines, NPCs just vanishing without a trace, ordinary animals mutating into grotesque, hostile things. It creates this pervasive atmosphere of fear, unease.
And the emergence of cults worshiping the eternal night, seeing it as a new, terrible age. That adds a human threat layer on top of the cosmic horror.
Right. Or experiencing unpredictable time warps, fractured realities. Stuff that can really erode sanity, make it hard to know what's even real anymore.
The blend of psychological horror with maybe a big sandbox-style exploration seems really effective here.
Yeah, players can venture out into this changed world, try to figure out the why behind the black sun, but every step is fraught with unseen dangers and the constant risk of succumbing to the darkness, both literal and metaphorical.
That struggle to maintain hope, maintain humanity when faced with such overwhelming despair, that's core Grimdark, isn't it?
Hmm,
And this hook provides a powerful catalyst for exploring exactly those themes.
absolutely.
So, there we have it. 5 distinct, pretty brutal opening hooks to kickstart your Grimdark RPG campaign. The Ashes of Home, Curse from the Start, The Massacre Witnesses, The Broken Oath, and The Black Sun Rising. Each one offers a really unique way into a darker style of role-playing.
Each one is a powerful way to immediately set that challenging, often bleak tone. It forces players to confront tough situations, make choices that matter, right from session one. A strong thematic opening is just crucial for setting expectations and immersing players in that grim reality.
Ultimately, though, the best hook for your group, that's going to depend on your players, what they like, what kinds of stories engage them.
You need to consider what themes, what challenges, what level of moral complexity will really resonate with them.
And remember, while these openings are designed to be impactful, often unsettling, the real goal is always to build a compelling story. Something with depth, meaningful character arcs, real emotional resonance.
Exactly. It's not just about shock value or being dark for darkness' sake. The authenticity of the struggles, the consequences of choices, that's what makes a grim dark campaign truly memorable, truly impactful.
Think about how these grim beginnings can lay the foundation for really unforgettable, transformative journeys, where characters get pushed to their absolute limits, loyalties are tested, and they have to confront not just the world's darkness, but maybe the darkness inside themselves too.
Indeed. A potent setup for powerful stories.
And hey, a big thank you to LitRPG Reads for inspiring some of these ideas, and shout out to Paul Bello, fine fellow.
Yeah, definitely. And we're genuinely interested to hear what you think. Which of these grimdark opening hooks sounds the most compelling or intriguing to you? Let us know your opinions, maybe share some experiences in the comments below.